Vanakkam. Now I am going to read the highlights of Reserve Bank circular which has been issued today. That is DOS.ARG number 6605/08.91.001/2019-20 dated 27/4/2020. This circular is being issued to all chief executives of all public sector banks only. In that, the Reserve Bank has captioned the circular as Statutory Branch Audit of Public Sector Banks for the financial year 2019-20 and the revision of guidelines on account of COVID-19. They have issued a revision of guidelines. So I'm just go read the circular and tell about the highlights of that points. In view of the difficulties expressed by certain banks in the matter of conducting statutory branch audit in public sector bank on account of lockdown situation prevailing due to spread of COVID-19 in the country, the matter was examined. This means public sector bank has expressed their difficulties to conduct the statutory branch audit to RBI due to COVID-19, and the matter was examined by Reserve Bank of India. And the second point of that circular, in this connection, a reference is invited to the extent norms on eligibility, empanelment and appointment of statutory branch auditors of public sector banks. That is, other than public sector banks, this circular, I think they will come out with the different circular applicable for the financial year 2019-20, which inter alia states that statutory branch audit of public sector banks may be carried out for all branches with advances of 20 crores and above, and 1/5 of the remaining branches covering a representative cross section of rural, semi-urban, urban and metropolitan branches, predominantly including the branches which are not stipulated to concurrent audit, so as to cover 90% of advances of the bank. CPUs, LPUs and other centralized hubs by whatever nomenclature called would be included in the 1/5 of the remaining branches of every year. So this para we will analyze as empanelment of statutory audit is discussed in this point. Advances of 20 crore and above branches are only covered for this financial year audit of 2019-20. The remaining branches of 1/5 covering a representative cross section of rural, semi-urban and metropolitan branches, that is being covered. Even the branches with concurrent audit also is covered in SBA, that is statutory branch audit. Total of 90% advances value of that bank has to be covered under this circular. That means 10% they omitted. So in total, they have to cover total of 90% advances for that bank. CPUs, LPUs and other centralized hubs by whatever nomenclature called would be included in the 1/5 of the remaining branches of every year. So when the branch, head office or branch, they have to help to go to the hub. This is a thing the statutory auditor has to see. Then, with reference to point number 3, based on the review taken, as per a special case, it has been decided to notify the above quoted requirements for coverage of statutory audit. As per the revised guidelines, statutory audit branches of public sector banks may be carried out so as to cover 90% of all funded and 90% of all non-funded exposures of the bank. That is, total funded and non-funded is being carried out to the extent of 90%. The banks may try to ensure that the selection of branches and centralized hubs for the statutory audit include a representative cross section of rural, semi-urban, urban and metropolitan branches, including branches which are not subject to concurrent audit. This is expected to give some flexibility to banks to reduce the number of branches covered under branch audit without compromising on the percentage coverage of the business of the bank. This we will discuss as RBI decided to modify the coverage of statutory audit. Statutory branch audit of public sector banks may be carried out so as to cover 90% of funded and non-funded exposure. It is left to the bank to select the branches and centralized hubs for statutory audit. Rural, semi-urban, urban, metropolitan branches. It is the bank's decision to cover those branches. Even there is no concurrent audit, for that branches they are also covered. This forced the bank to reduce the branches audit, but without compromising on the percentage of the coverage of the bank. This is a thing that is being explained in para number 3. Para number 4. In case of banks where branch audit on the exercise for financial year 2019-20 has already witnessed progress, as per extant guidelines, the relaxation in coverage may be utilized to the extent required so as to address disruptions faced due to current situation. This means in case the audits have already been commenced, the extent of coverage should also be included for the financial year 2019 and 20. I am going to read point number 5. Depending on the impact of corona virus and the lockdown situation in specific areas, PSBs, that is public sector banks, may take adequate precautionary measures to ensure safety of the concerned auditors and bank officials by implementing such procedures that may be required, including making arrangements to provide documents or information required by the auditors through electronic medium wherever feasible and minimize physical movement by judicious allocation of the branches. We will discuss that as public sector bank should give adequate precautionary measures to ensure the safety of the concerned auditor, because they have to consider the safety of the concerned auditor. Bank officials have to arrange and provide documents, information required by the auditors through electronic medium wherever feasible. Physical movement has to be minimized by judicious allocation of the branches. This is we can understand from the point number 5. Point number 6. Banks facing problems, if any, on account of refusal to take up the assignment by the branch auditors may approach RBI for approval to appoint additional audit firms selected from the list of recommended audit firms made available by the RBI. So this we will discuss in case any auditor has refused to take up the audit due to Corona-19 or due to some other reason, the bank may take up the matter with RBI and allot the audit firms with the list provided by the RBI. So with the list supplied by RBI, the bank has to select the auditors. Point number 7. The date for submission of branch allocation details to RBI has been extended from the earlier conveyed date of 30/4/2020 to 15/6/2020. This means audit allotment can be made up to 15/6/2020 and the same may be informed to RBI. Then point number 8. All other instructions issued by RBI pertaining to statutory branch audit as communicated from time to time. There is no change, only the whatever existing that remains continuous. The content of this letter, this RBI letter, shall immediately be brought to the attention of audit committee of the board as well as statutory central auditors of the respective banks. This is the content issued by Reserve Bank of India on 27/4/2020, while it's a circular. Now, what are the real effects of this circular? Branch audits may be reduced because they concentrated on 90%. Auditors' branch allocation may be changed. Auditors who have already been allotted audit may get their allotment reduced. Auditors have to ask all the details required for the audit through electronic mode after understanding every matter of that branch. In case the auditors refuse to do the audit due to COVID-19, they will be changed or they will be not given any chance, and new auditors in the list will be provided. New auditors in the list provided by RBI, the bank will allot the audit. This is the highlight of the circular. I once again request everyone to go through the circular in depth. So this year you will be getting the audit, but allotment will be delayed due to COVID-19. Anyhow, I wish you all the best and thanks for watching this video. Nandri, Vanakkam.